Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Philip Mershon, your pop culture historian here. Today, we are diving into the history of what many consider to be the very first meme, long before the internet even existed. A simple drawing, it's a pair of eyes with a long nose peeking over a wall, and scrawled next to it was the all-important message, Kilroy was here. The phrase, often accompanied by that distinctive doodle, became an unofficial mascot, a defiant whisper, a universal sign of presence for American GIs during World War II. But where did Kilroy come from? Turns out it was the marriage of two completely different sources on two different continents. Now, the most widely accepted origin story of the phrase points to a guy named James J. Kilroy. He was a shipyard inspector at the Fore River Shipyard in Quincy, Massachusetts during the early days of the war. Now, how about that? Last week I did an episode on Howard Johnson's, which also began in Quincy. Go Quincy! But I digress. Kilroy's job was to quality check and to count the rivets being done on the ships. See, the riveters were paid by the numbers, so his count would be submitted to payroll, and he'd leave a check mark in yellow grease pencil at the end of the rivets for that particular section and then move on and count another area. Well, evidently, some of the workers began waiting till he went off duty and would erase his check mark so that the inspector of the next shift would count that section again and the riveter would get double the pay. After the scheme was uncovered, he replaced his usual check mark with a large distinctive note, Kilroy was here. The riveters got the message, stop screwing with the count, and the shenanigans ceased. Now, in ordinary circumstances, inspection marks would be covered over by paint, but with the urgency of war, speed was of the essence, and the ships were turned out without painting the more obscure portions of the interior. Soon, these vessels, packed with personnel, were underway to some distant location, and sailors were discovering Kilroy was here in bulkheads, inside storage lockers, all kinds of out-of-the-way places. Now, for the cartoon doodle, we got to go to merry old England. Our fellow there was called Mr. Chad. He appeared everywhere as a lament to the large-scale rationing and shortages of beloved items. On signs, on walls, and on windows, he was crying out sentiments such as, "What, no sugar?" and "What, no bananas?" So ubiquitous was he that Mr. Chad soon became referred to as the Watcher by the Royal Navy and Mr. Snoops by the British Army. The phrase and the drawing started showing up all over the European and Pacific theaters of engagement, and somehow, somewhere, the two were teamed and the meme was born. For the GIs, it was a funny, unexpected reminder of home, a hint that someone had been there before them checking things out, and so soldiers and sailors started replicating it. It became this humorous act of pride that the first duty anywhere was to claim the territory by installing Kilroy. They'd scrawl Kilroy on barracks walls, on trains, on newly captured bunkers, on the sides of their jeeps, even on the side of bombs before they were dropped. If American soldiers landed somewhere, Kilroy soon followed. Or was it vice versa? And when I say everywhere, I mean from the beaches of Normandy to the depths of submarines, from atop Mount Everest to the toilet stalls of Hitler's personal retreat. Though those last two may be more hyperbole than fact. The very act of drawing it became a game to see who could put Kilroy in the most unexpected and daring places. After the war, Kilroy's general use began to wane, but you know, the little guy has never completely gone away. Since the war's end, he's been adopted into cultural media. From a 1947 movie starring former child stars Jackie Cooper and Jackie Coogan, to a short film in 2006, to a music album by the band Styx in 1983, to a novel in 2017, to another novel in 2020. He's co-starred with Alan Alda and Mike Farrell in MASH. He's co-starred with Bugs Bunny, for goodness sakes. And if you ever visit the World War II Memorial on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., look extra closely because they've put Kilroy in 2 different obscure places in the monument. So while not a new meme, he's often invoked in discussions about original memes or early forms of viral communication, and he's respected as an ancestor of today's digital phenomenon. If you have a moment, drop a comment and say hi. Likes, comments, and subscribing really helped push these videos out to a larger audience. And to stay with the military theme today, it's the catch-22 that in order to get a larger audience, you first have to have an engaged audience. So help me to bring you more dives into history and culture. And until next time, keep your powder dry.